I'm going to show you how you can find the one zone that is going to transform your trading. These are called bank zones. This is the way I've been trading for years and years now, and I've been showing how to do it. So I'm just going to break this opportunity down. This is from a few days ago on Euro JPY. Loads of the course members ended up getting these, so I'd love to break it down on here. But if you do want the daily outlooks where I break all of this down before the session opens, just have a look at the link below. Obviously, it's a London session pair, so we're only looking to take moves in London. And it means we're also only looking at zones that are correlated with London. So I'm going to skip forward a bit. So this was the London session on Wednesday the 30th of July. So I'm going to go to the 31st of July to kind of show you exactly what kind of things we're looking for. So I'm not going to talk too much about the higher time frames on this. I'm talking about lower time frame zones. But this is the 31st of July. We're going into London session. We're always looking, what zones do we have that we could possibly see something at? So the first kind of zone that we look at is an Asia session zone. So we've got Asia high over here. Because we're trading London, we're always interested in Asia zones. But also, probably even more importantly, we're looking at previous London zones. Now, what do I mean by a London bank zone? I mean time, place. So at this time, aka in this session, which is London session, which is what I have in green. I use this indicator to put it in green to tell me which is London session every day. It makes it really easy to draw zones. So the time is London and the place is the price we're at. So what price are we at, and how has what's that relationship between London session and that price recently, and also in the past, but recently is obviously the most important. So what do we have around this price point that happened in London recently? Well, we have the previous day. What did London do? London pushed up. It's tapped into this price area in here, created this zone, and then it's rejected to the downside. So it's tapped into there and it's then bounced down. It's also tapped in again in there and then bounced down. So we know that this price point, this is important to this place, aka the price, and at this time in the same time zone that we're looking for. So what I'll do is I'll take that across. Obviously, this is one of the zones I'm looking at. So I'm immediately thinking, because we're going bullish, because we've broken this high, again, I'm not talking too much about the higher time frames, but because we're going bullish, I'm looking at potential buys from Asia high, but also potential buys from here. So waiting for it to break above, and I will show you exactly what happens. So we have a load of volume. We don't break above there, but this is kind of confirmation that this is definitely quite a strong zone, because that's a big rejection of the zone. However, we don't end up dropping down. We'd never take a sell there because we're not bearish. We're only bullish. We only take buys when we're bullish, of course. But what we do end up doing is going back above it in there, and we end up getting the 15-minute close. Now, as soon as we've got the 15-minute close, we're fine. We're good to be looking for entries. And again, I don't want to deviate too much away from the main point of this video, which is the zones, but this in here was a valid entry because we've got the very nice break and retest with the bullish rejection candle. So from this point, it was immediately a buy setup. Why? Because, well, we've rejected one of our London bank zones. In the same time period, it's the same London session at the same price at the same place. Where are we targeting? Well, we're just looking what are the other price points, time, place, other price points for London towards the upside. And the next major one is this point in here. You can see that in London session, the day before the 30th, which was the Tuesday, we ended up pushing into that and then dropping back down. So this is obviously another point of contention really for this pair in London session at this time, at this price. So that is kind of the perfect targeting point. It's 1-7 risk reward. It's absolutely perfect. And you can see, just hold it in there and it does end up going. I hold through US as well, as long as it gets to that point. So as you can see, that was absolutely perfect. All because obviously there's a few more things involved, higher time frames, entry points. If you want to find out more about that, just have a look at the link below. But the point is, these are the exact lower time frame bank zones that we focus on. Now, I'm going to take it to 2 days later. There was an opportunity in there, but it was kind of different. That was an Asia low zone, Asia low break and retest before NFP came out. Still a nice win, but wasn't really to do with this. So I'm going to move it to the next day. So this was the same zone, obviously. So I'm going to bring this across now because it's still a point of interest, because we're still around the same price and we're going into the same time we were going into London session. So take that across. And then what's also good about this, which has made it pretty much perfect, is that we also had this as Asia high. Like I said before, just touching it briefly, Asia high for London session is also one of the things, one of the bank zones that we're interested in. So if an Asia high or an Asia low and a London session zone mix together, then it's absolutely perfect. Then the confluence is absolutely perfect. So all we're looking for is tap into this and then a drop to the downside, because we actually are bearish here. Going off the higher time frames, we were bearish here. So all we're looking for is a tap into this area, 5-minute rejection, and then we're looking for a drop to the downside. So I'll just show you what happens. So we do end up pushing in. In here, we have tapped in. There wasn't any 5-minute rejection candles yet, but from that point, we did end up getting a very strong rejection candle in there. So that's most definitely a sign to enter. Again, it's at this zone. You can see it was absolutely perfect. If I go across to the first time we got this zone and I go like that, you can see that we bring it all the way across. We tap precisely into that zone, and then from that point we've dropped. So if you were to just target down there, obviously again it's another fantastic risk to reward. Just put my stuff above up there. It's another fantastic risk to reward, and again this one does end up dropping beautifully because we've dropped off of that zone, and it was absolutely perfect. And even without even drawing it as a bar, even just as a line, it tapped to the dot into it, because these are the powerful zones that we are looking at when we go into London session. But it doesn't just have to be London session. Also for US 30, you can see here the zones, they work pretty much the same as what I'm looking for. On Monday, you can see we had time and place, US session, we rejected off this zone, pushed in, strong rejection, dropped the downside. This is obviously a point of contention, a price of contention for US 30 in NYC. So all we're looking for then was the break above, and that's exactly what we got on the 5-minute. But also what we had up here, the point we targeted, we always target 300 points. It's just a general rule of thumb. But what this place also was, if we look to the left, it was obviously a rejection point, because in the previous week we'd pushed down into that zone, then bounced up. Obviously this is a price of contention point that we looking for. So 300 points was perfectly into that. However, that meant going into the next day that this was an extremely strong zone, because not only was that the end of the session on Monday, but it was also, you can see, a very strong point. So all we were looking for was it was on the 5-minute obviously, but we were looking for a 5-minute bounce off of there and then a drop to the downside, and then 300 points. You can see why we always take it at 300 points, but that was absolutely perfect. That zone was absolutely golden. So it's not just on London pairs. This is how I've always done it. This is how I've always showed it. If you want to find out more, just have a look below.